Hello, I'm Adam Harris, and today I want to talk about why you shouldn't define functions inside a loop in JavaScript. You may have seen this warning before if you use a linter to write your code, and I just want to give a quick demonstration on why that can be bad and how you can write your code instead. So, as you can see here, we've got a really simple function called count, and you pass in the max, and it just console logs out 1 to that number. So we can run it right here, node index.js. And it works, just as you would expect. But let's do something a little different to show what happens when you define a function inside of a loop. Let's do a set timeout. And run it after 100 milliseconds or 1 second. Now, this is not a very good example. It's kind of a trivial example. You would never really do this probably, but what you might do inside of a function is call an event handler or set up an event handler, and then something inside of the loop is happening later. So what you might expect is it would do the same thing, but 1 second later, print out 1 through 10. And you can see here that jshint is saying don't make functions within a loop. Let's see what happens. 11. So you might be wondering why that's happening. Why 11? It's the same code, it's just happening 1 second later. But basically what's happening is by the time console.log is called, the loop has gone through every iteration and the final value of I is 11. Because the last time the loop ran, it was 10, it iterated it one more time to 11 and then didn't go into the loop that final time. But the final value of I is 11. So what can we do instead? Let's try making another function. Instead of making the function inside of the loop, let's make the function outside the loop. And let's call this run later. Let's call this print later. And that's the output, and we'll do console.log output. And of course we need to set timeout. So a print later function will do a console log 1 second later. So here, instead of console logging, we will do print later. Let's see if this works. It works! Why does that work when it didn't work earlier? It's almost the exact same thing. All we did is extract a function. Basically what's happening here is when print later is called, you get the new value of output saved in a closure in this print later function. It's a separate closure from the count function. And so then by the time console.log is called, output is different every time. It works some of the times, but sometimes you run into these weird problems like this, and it can make debugging hard. It can make it harder for beginners to understand what's going on. So even if you understand what's going on, you should never define a function within a loop. Now, of course, you can go in and add these jshint comments to say, ignore this error, but I would recommend you don't do that and just extract your function out, and everything should be great. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. And let me know what you think. What other cases have you run into where you've had a problem defining a function inside of a loop? But this week I'm actually going to talk about how you can define functions within a loop.
The Cordova website at cordova.apache.org. And you can see here that it's all about building mobile apps with HTML.